24-hour healthcare attended to some of the units, they have independent living attended to some of the units. And so I think we can probably address that by saying that it's an institutional use as long as X% of the total units, as long as not more than X% of the total units are independent living. And I would guess by the reason this topic is brought up, that number would be very low. That the idea would be that, do you want to exclude independent living units entirely? Because then you're taking away the whole spectrum of living, and it's an option for you. It's, you know, you're deciding what your IPS is going to accommodate. And if you're saying it absolutely is not going to accommodate any more independent living units for the elderly, then tell us that, because that's
within the IPS. If somebody wants to do that and wants to put it in a residential area or
and get it rezoned
or a
to
business
your
area, because it's a
R-plex
business.
or R.
Right. I'd say within the definition of institutional.
Would there be a place though for the continuum that Mary was just describing anywhere in the village?
Brookfield?
But no, to that point though, Mark, is.
Say it again.
I'm not saying it should or it shouldn't, I'm just saying that the market is telling us by the proposals we're seeing that that's what they're after. So
Right.
the question is, do you want to accommodate that?
My point with this is, if we define it tightly within the whole area of 24-hour healthcare,
Right.
then if somebody has a proposal that goes outside of that, then it's gonna be based on if we want to provide a waiver of that ordinance to allow for other types of care within that.
And do you want to provide a waiver mechanism as part of your ordinance?
Isn't that kind of what
Well,
we're
it's under
dancing around?
conditional, this is under conditional anyway.
Yeah.
This is all part of conditional anyway, so it just gives us a
But
little
you
more
know the
control.
rules for
of the
conditional
process.
now, it's in essence, it's a permitted 1A.
So are you saying we can just move toward just saying we don't want it, period?
Well, that's what I'm hearing you say. I'm asking whether you want to still account for the kind of continuum of care that Mary was just mentioning or not. Because then it's a matter of, okay, then where does that happen, and how does that happen if you still want to allow for that?
And what's its top end limit?
It sounds like if we allow it, it creates that whole kind of spectrum of when and where, what percentages,
Yes.
right?
But then that would require rezoning to something else. If they wanna do that, they have to
And the land
do
division.
some other kind of thing, and again, we have that control mechanism.
So if the developer wanted to have that continuum of care, they'd have to do a land division and then get the independent living.
Again, what I'm trying to do is, since 67 and 68 took so much autonomy away from the municipalities, to find a way to give us more control back. Legally.
So let me just ask this question. You read on the third page, item C. The planning commission may at its sole discretion allow for greater residential densities than specified in B above approved. It shall have determined that the character of existing adjacent uses and planned future development in the surrounding and adjacent areas make the location uniquely well suited to supporting the character/density of the proposed use and its anticipated impacts as well as the public service demands. Are you okay with that section?
Well, then I go back to Mark's comment is, because of 67 and 68, if we have a provision in there, does that snare us again?
You just have to realize what the landscape looks like in terms of conditional use approvals. You have to have substantial evidence that is objectively quantifiable in order to deny it.
Well, and in this particular one, she's referencing item B, which is on properties which have less than 50% adjacent adjoining land use as single-family residential. So if it's more, industrial or retail, we do have a couple lots where it's pretty much retail. It might have a small little area where there's residential, then this would apply, the planning commission could give more or not do it.
Well, again, when you decide what that looks like, you have to have substantial evidence in sight, whether that's the case or not.
So getting back to what I was saying before about this, because now we're on the section that I want to discuss, in terms of concrete numbers, and the citizen brought it up as well, it was something that I had highlighted, about the change from 6 to 8, and then from 10 to 12. Beyond that, I'm still concerned about the amount of density on it. When you look at the engineer's findings that came back from previous meetings, and the sensitivity of some of our infrastructure, just going off of not naming a specific development, but let's say that parcel on Wisconsin, just doing rough math with 16 acres at 0.75, you're still allowing about 175 assisted living beds. And I mean, frankly, when I see density, and we say a unit, well, yes, we talked about there could be multiple beds in one unit, what have you. Now you're putting those people, plus staff, plus everyone else, now you're getting denser than what a house would be, so, and that's just resident beds of 175, give or take, that's, like I said, that's estimating. I think we're still way too dense on it, to be honest with you, and we're talking now concrete infrastructure wise, not just harmonious wise. But, I mean, I'm personally feeling it, and that's why I want to point out, because I know you have some of where we came to that number from, but personally, I want to see that lowered, personally.
Well, I think if we think in terms of like nursing home, and going by memory, so if I get the numbers wrong, you can correct me, is the River Hills, when the nursing home was in operation, I believe that's roughly 12 acres of land, and there were about 200 beds in there, weren't there?
I don't think it was ever that high.
No?
I thought all the numbers would come back at 175 as well. Yeah, 160.
But my point being, in terms of that, where slightly smaller property with that number of beds, and that operated for decades as a nursing home.
But think of nursing, we want to talk a continuum of care, think of nursing home 60 years ago, where you saw grandma on Christmas and then maybe her birthday, and now think of nursing home developments today, where
Keep in mind, we're talking about 24-hour care.
but we're still allowing, but if a nurse is on staff for 24-hour care, does not mean that half the residents still don't drive. That people aren't still coming by more, that now there's 7 cooks on staff opposed to the nursing home that, 60 years ago, that had 1 chef that, sent the trays out. The developments these days are not the developments of old, so we definitely can't go off of that as precedents. But I just personally, to say still 175 AL, but it even goes down to 0.5 if you want to put in memory care, so now add more to that. And then that doesn't count how many staff it takes for memory care, which is allowed then, because that is 24-hour. So I mean, you're back to a development of 200 plus beds, plus staff.
I also have an issue with, the point, a bed in a nursing home and or CBRF licensed memory care facility shall constitute 0.5 units. So you have 10 acres, that's 160 beds if we stay with the 8 units per acre, if my math is correct. And then also a memory care and nursing home, you need quite a bit of extra space for offices, the laundry, you name it, the kitchen, dining area. I really do believe we need to reconsider some of these numbers, and I do think it's,
And I think Mary, what her approach so far has been in terms of how she's coming up with these numbers based on other data.
As I said, you can speak to this.
Well, when Mary and I and Scott met, I brought this forward and said we need to lower the density in the IPS.
absolutely.
And I started out at 4, they went to 6. And then I think it was just a matter of trying to keep relevant with every other zoning district we have, that it went to the 8 and 12. But to your point, I agree, IPS is a different zoning, so we should be able to put a different amount of units per acre in the zoning. Because the RM is different than, what was the other one?
R6.
R6. So IPS, I think if we wanna go to 4 or go to 6, we can legitimately say, well, this one isn't the same as this one, so this one's not the same as the other two.
Right. I'll give you just a bit of background, and it does address one of the issues that was raised by one of the speakers. Last month's report, I did refer to the numbers 6 and 10 as the high numbers in our R6 and our RM districts. It was an error on my part. Sometimes we get talking at staff meetings and I use the wrong numbers enough by mistake that they become sort of lodged, and so those went straight into the report. Maximum 6 units and 10 units. The numbers in our zoning code for R6, maximum units per acre, R6 is plex residential, is 8 units per acre. The maximum number of units per acre in our RM multifamily district is 12 units per acre, okay? So that was my error. So what you see in front of you tonight is throttled up for no other reason than to maintain consistency with those numbers as a starting point. That's our starting point, and the reason we started there is because we feel like those are really defensible numbers. We decided in the R6 district that a rational density for flex residential is 6 units per acre. We decided that for the multifamily. So as a kickoff point, that makes sense that we have some rational basis for it. Hold those numbers straight through into this IPS draft. I believe that you can make the case that the IPS district is unique and distinct from the R6 and the RM for many reasons. One is that it's not a proactive district. It's not a proactive district that we have applied anywhere in the village historically, right up to this day, where we've laid out land and said, this is future institutional. Our IPS districts have all been applied as after the fact to attend to existing uses or on the fly to rezone to adapt to an institutional use proposed. Unlike R6 and RM, where we've had multifamily zoning and land use out there, laid out there in the past and absorbed into development. So the other thing is IPS districts, by their nature, by the character of the things they permit by right, for instance, schools, cemeteries, things of that sort, by their nature, they often occur in residential districts, right in among the heart of residential districts. That's distinctly different than where multifamily and flex type categories are routinely placed in land use planning. So I think there is something distinct there, and I'm going to defer to Mark to give you the final blow on that, to be sure. But so if that's the case, yes, I think you could throttle those numbers down defensively. So the only other thing I wanted to say is just with respect to the numbers that I latched onto. Last month, we were all kind of puzzled by the question of how do we deal with these spectrum of living? How do we calculate the density when they've got independent assisted healthcare coverage? And so my effort was to create a system that we could rely on, and I gave you some point of beginning numbers. 1 unit if it's an independent, 0.75 if it's a assisted living, and 0.5 if it's a memory care. My intention was to solve the question, how do we calculate based on the different character of use? Whether those were the right percentages or the right numbers, that was what I intended the commission to discuss tonight.
I would think the percentages would go the opposite way, knowing that the care that would also have to be associated, the staff would have to be associated with more skilled nursing, in terms of a single family house or whatever, an apartment is 1, and then assisted living 1.5 or 1.25, and then skilled nursing is 1.75.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like the difference between what you just said, with these other districts and IPS is that somehow we have to come up with a way to capture the overall burden of managing that, right? So you're talking whether it's food delivery trucks to food service workers, because that's a totally different equation, not just how many people are sleeping in an acre, right?
I was also gauging questions of how many visitors, come to a memory care resident? How many visitors come to an independent living?
Versus a
Resident.
multiplex apartment.
And how many memory care, residents drive, you're in a vehicle and go out on errands and visit and so forth, versus how many independent living people own
Yeah.
cars and go out on errands and so forth. So I saw them as kind of I want you guys to decide what that right threshold is. But I
So-
agree, you're right, I thought, there's delivery trucks, but there's also, economies of scale.
Yeah.
Operating in that environment.
Who's got the advocates?
So, what are we looking at, gentlemen, lady?
This is really a tough one to tackle, because I've been in independent living where they've basically been almost like an efficiency apartment, or they could be a two-bedroom apartment. This is really a tough one to come up with.
That's why independent is uniquely different,
Right.
really. And
Maybe FPS.
Mark, you had said something like, I mean, did you suggest maybe that there's a path that we can go down where we don't even allow it and we don't have to have this discussion? I don't want to put words, I'm asking because I'm serious, I didn't really understand where you're going with that. 'Cause
Well,
right now
where I was
we're
going
going
with that is, because I wanted you to, because what it sounded like you were saying is that you were going to exclude out the elderly living, independent elderly living component from IPS. And so my rhetorical question is then, is there a district in the village where the whole continuum that we've been discussing would be allowable? And the answer to that is no. So I just wanted you to understand that that was in fact the case, and in your decision-making, that what is being proposed and that you see, developments of these days would not be something that would be allowable in the village, period.
I think there could be a situation where, say there was a plot of land that's zoned IPS now. If the developer wanted to have a component of that independent living, and part of it then assisted living, and then nursing care, and memory
Sure.
care, they could do a land division and have the independent living, rezoned as residential. So it would be the same
R6
development.
and institutional combined, basically.
Right, it would still be the same development, but there would be different parcels of land, or there would be land division, so I don't think it precludes that situation.
It makes it more difficult, that's for sure.
It makes it more
Yeah.
difficult, but it doesn't preclude it.
All right, well,
If we would do that, I would think that the way I would wanna do that is bring back the R6 and the RM, and change those densities too.
I was wondering that why we're basing everything off of that and where that number was coming from. And why can't we go with
Would
that as
that-
well?
Look at it holistically.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to address that too, if we're gonna change this and take something out of it.
You're right on point.
So,
Because we're talking density overall and infrastructure, that'll affect the sewer system, roads, and everything else just the same.
I mean, the way some of this is written, that we may be able to keep in there, that if someone does wanna put a development in an area where there are no single-family homes, they could still come to the board and we could approve that.
That can be a way of trying to control the multiplex.
Right.
Make it less attractive.
Mm-hmm.
I would also be in the opinion, and I don't know how the board feels on this, but flipping the percentages from instead of going down from memory care to going up. Assisted living is more than one, memory care would be more than assisted living.
We because of the
You're looking at additional staff.
Yeah,
additional-
right.
Yeah, the-
space needed.
yes.
So then we want to
Is there any other comments or? Mary, Mark?
So where does that leave us?
Questions?
Mary's got homework.
Yeah.
The question about revisiting the densities in the R6 and the RM, that's a very open-ended question, and I'll do my best to come back next month with some guidance for you on what do we talk about, what do we evaluate when we decide what the appropriate densities are for those districts, and are we where we want to be right now?
I guess my question is, do we wanna, okay, so we're gonna redo A and B portion. Is C okay as far as it's written right now?
I think we should let Mary kind of work through the process and see if that still makes sense or not. I mean, I'm not sure I could answer that.
I think too that it has to,
You need to redo
that
that?
it has to be evaluated on how it fits into the revised section entirely.
Okay,
The only thing C does is give us more flexibility.
right, that's what I was wondering if it's not. I know you changed a little bit of C, right, added some stuff in there.
Unless he exposes us with 67 and 68, tax 67 and 68.
What I would say is, when you're gonna put discretion like this in the code, it's wise to enumerate the factors that you will consider in deciding whether to exercise that discretion or not. Because what it does is helps you then to have a model for your decision-making that then is more easily supported if you are challenged. Rather than just saying, well, I think in this situation that makes sense kind of thing. Well, no, let's say, why is it, because of adjacent properties and uniqueness of the land itself or whatever it might be, that's leading into our decision making.
So you're gonna work
What
with
do you
Mary
say?
on that?
Well, sounds like you have the answer, Keith,
So, when I tell you is when you say you make a motion to deny something or sometimes to approve it is, well, tell me why. Because that's what a judge is gonna be asking me if we have to defend that. So, to the extent that we are putting language that gives you a structure in which to make your decision, and with your motions, then that helps that. So, I don't have a problem with this per se, but I think we have to be very intentional about what it is that we're gonna, find to be reasonable and a significant criteria to look at in making this assessment.
So we're gonna bring it back, gentlemen and ladies?
Bring it back.
So what is that, a motion to table?
No. Mark, we don't need a motion to defer or table anything.
I think for right now, it could just stay as it is.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure exactly what
What we're gonna do.
Mary and I will have a lengthy conversation.
Not really sure what we call that, so let's just move on.
Well, we have nothing recommended to the board yet, so.
Craig started it.
Item 6A.
Well, it was up to me.
Yeah, sure. Review, discussion of possible action on conditional use grant request to locate a thrift shop in the existing vacant northmost 53,182 square foot tenant space, and including an area at the rear west side of the building for pickup, drop-off of goods of the building. Located at 601 Ryan Street, the property owner is Lake Country Square Center, LLC. The applicant is Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Waukesha County, NCO Rodney Colburn. The property is zoned B1 Community Business District. Mary, I guess I'll ask the board, would you like a little information before Mary goes into her presentation from the developer to get some information as to what this is gonna be? Would that be okay? Is everybody okay with that? Hey, Mr. Colburn, could you please come up and kind of explain the whole thing?
Well, first of all, we're looking at putting a thrift store at that location. We have two thrift stores in Waukesha County, that we rented for last Sunset Drive, one on Brown Street in Conwell. We're looking to run the same type of business here. What we do is, goods are sold there, and the profit from that is given to help people in the community. We also give people, if they're in need of clothing or bedding or, you name it within their household, we do give that away for free also, to people who are in need. Sometimes, a shirt or a jacket or a blanket is enough, so that's why we, do have the thrift store to have profit. Sometimes you have to keep the lights on. We have a family that lost, recently, they both lost their job all at the same time. And we came in and helped them, helped their children, even gave them Christmas presents, things like that. So we're looking to do good in the community. This location is perfect for what we do. Every other facility we moved into was priority, in the past have been a grocery store like this. This Pick and Save is about the same size as the one we have on Sunset Drive. And if you've ever been in there, we say no matter if you need to shop with us because of a financial situation, or if you shop with us because you choose to, we're gonna let you shop with me. So we keep it very clean. Our goal is to look like Kohl's as much as we can. And so when people come in the door, they know they're getting a good quality product and a place that, respects them.
You explain a little bit about the building and how much,
The
how you're
building
gonna
hours,
keep
yeah.
it different?
The hours would be, 9 AM to 8 AM, Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday we have short hours, 11 to 6. The donation area in the back would follow those same hours of operation. We're looking at the inside of the building, it would be minimal change, as far as, walls, existing walls. The footprint for the grocery store is almost identical to what we use, just because of, common, they have to save a lot of stuff in back, because of seasonal issues, we have to save a lot of things in back, so the footprint is almost identical, to what it currently is right now, other than the donation door, and of course, our staple of our business is donations, and, we have to have a usable area for people to drive up, stay out of the rain, out of the wind, like you'd see in we've been to Goodwill or our store, an overhang that you can drive in, stay out of the elements, and, donate the items there. We try our best not to have anything outside of the donated door, that's why we have it closer to the building, and right up against the building, so, we don't have as much, the community doesn't see it in back, boxes or things laying outside. So they come up, we get the donation, we bring it right inside the door, we process it.
Any other sections of the building?
The other sections of the rental properties, we would look to rent as they currently are, and they would fall within all normal, taxation that you would, see anywhere else in the community. The portion that we were in, we would, of course, be taxed.
You have an idea of how many people per day will visit your store?
Around between donating and shopping, about 500. So slightly less than a grocery store, but, still a sizable amount that, we've seen in the past. Our current location in Waukesha, because of our traffic, we now have a Dunkin' Donuts in the parking lot, a Papa Murphy's, and a dry cleaner. Us bringing in 500 people to the parking lot is very attractive to other businesses, and they really like to play off of that.
Are there any questions, comments? Yes, Greg.
Now, you're talking about purchasing the physical building, the whole footprint, including the smaller shops.
Correct.
How about the entire property, including the parking lot and the green space and everything? Is that being purchased, or is that?
Everything, yeah, the whole, I think it's 10 acres.
Okay, so when you're talking about, the tax exempt portion of the large store, is it only the 53,000 square feet, or is it the entire property?
I think the way it lays out is so many parking spots per how the building is set up, or the property is set up. I think that's split actually by the size of the building, if I'm not mistaken, so that now it would be, let's say, a total of 64,000 square feet. So the percentage would go by a percentage of what is left. So they pay the entire amount, let's say it was 100%, and we would pay, that less percentage by our square footage. sense, but, I think it goes that the parking spots are for each one, and we require X amount of parking spots per.
Employees that you have to mix, I think, between paid and volunteer, is that correct?
Yeah, we would love to have all volunteers, but that hasn't worked out for us yet. Yeah, it is, the mix is about 70-30, and it really gives, especially retired people, kind of an avenue to come to as a social thing. It's kind of unintended consequence. They come in, they take ownership of what they're doing. We have people in our other stores that they work in the book department, and that's their book department. And they'll come 5 days a week, some people once a month. But it's a really nice outlet for people in the community who want to donate time. And it's usually in a group, you know, because we have large numbers of things we're going through, so they kind of get a group atmosphere. Some people live alone, and that's their only really outlet.
Any other questions?
Just my own curiosity, to see if there's a Goodwill there. Have you guys ever opened up the store next to another Goodwill?
We have not, but within the lease, it does state if a thrift store would open in that spot,
Mhm.
they can be out of the lease, so they'll be released from their lease. I think, they have 6 months, to make a decision to go, and I spoke to them, I actually worked there before. So I spoke to them there, and they were quite willing to move that application.
Mhm.
It probably would happen at something anyways, because those donation centers, they've been backing out of them. Because there's really no income coming from that. It was a decision was made, 5 or 7 years ago to do those type of locations. And with no income coming in and transportation costs, Goodwill gets a lot of donations. They're really starting to phase those out anyways.
There's no more questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gives us an idea of what's going on. Mary?
Right, I'll try not to repeat the points that Rod took the time to make, and I apologize. Rod asked me if he was gonna be called on the floor to make a presentation, and I said, probably just to answer questions. I'm sorry.
Oops.
Anyway, operating hours are pretty typical of retail use, so right now I'm talking just about the use proposed for the 53,000 square feet. Typical retail operating hours, very similar to a grocery store or a department store. Because of the addition proposed off the back, where there will be a delivery center, it's laid out in such a way that it will dictate that traffic will have to be one way around that building entirely, because there's not enough room to move inward and get to the drop-off center and have other vehicles crossing over and exiting along that north side of the building. So to that end, I've put a condition in that I've recommended, and that is that there be pavement markings and or on-site directional signage reviewed and approved by staff to ensure that that doesn't become an issue and that we get proper flow to the site. With respect to the canopy addition itself, it's a flat roof design. It extends about 30 feet out from the back of the building wall. The fascia is going to be just a metal wrap. Proposed color is white. The columns were proposed to be surrounded in by a block veneer, a painted block veneer up to about 36 inches. And then blue color paint on the steel from there up. The overhead door that they're going to add off that back wall is proposed to be white. So I had a great opportunity to talk to Rod about changing those colors to be, to dovetail better with the existing colors of the building. And I talked to him about the columns, for instance, and how we've attached a different standard to the more conspicuous locations where there are drive-throughs like this. He has agreed that the canopy fascia would be color matched in a copper tone.
Dark bronze.
To the dark bronze, to the building itself, that they could put that same color on the paint of the columns, maintain the block in the lower level, and black out everything that's on top of the canopy. The canopy won't have any appurtenances on it, so it'll just be blacked out. The overhead door issue is a little different. You would prefer to keep that white consistent with the other overhead doors that are already there on the building, which I think was driven more by an inability to find a suitable alternative color than anything else.
Correct.
So I'll leave that to the commission. In my recommendations, I asked for it all to be color matched, so decide how you're gonna jump off on that one. Adequate parking certainly is available on the site. The HVAC units on top of the main tenant building, main tenant space are substantial because of preceding grocery store use. So there's a lot of equipment up there. And for whatever reason, at the time that it was approved, the HVAC screening requirements maybe weren't in effect, or it was overlooked at the time. Every time a new use comes in to request a conditional approval, we'd like to revisit the standards that are in place now and ask, is this a time that we should be acting to upgrade and get them compliant with the standards? So that would no doubt be a substantial investment for them to screen those. An alternative might be to spray them out in color match to the building. Or the commission can determine to accept that these are pre-existing condition, legal non-conforming, and let them continue to exist in their current state. I want you to make that decision, but it's certainly not something that staff should call. And the same would apply with respect to landscaping. The landscaping clearly has never come up to the level of 1 tree, 2 shrubs per 1,000 square feet of green space. And with the addition of a drop-off area where the potential for untimely deliveries that might sit there for, hours on end, we hope that won't be the case, because the applicant does intend to put security cameras out there. We also intend to put signage out there that prohibits after-hours drop-off, and permits enforcement of the after-hours drop-off. So my suggestion there too is to up the landscaping to a standard at least closer to the code requirement, and beyond, to the extent it might be necessary to screen that drop-off area from the view coming off of Quinlan Drive for those residents. So jumping right straight down to the recommendations. Number 1, secure all the necessary permits for the build-out of the interior space and the addition of the canopy structure. Revise the color scheme of canopy columns and overhead doors to an earth tone selection more compatible with the existing colors of the principal building. It sounds like that's all agreeable to the applicant at this point, except the question about the white door. Number 3, no appurtenances can be installed on the roof of the canopy that extend higher than the top of the metal coping, and that everything on top of the canopy will be painted out black. Number 4, applicant to install before occupancy the signage at the drop-off center that prohibits the after-hours drop-off, subject to staff review and approval as to the location, size, and the illumination of that sign. Number 5, applicant to install the directional signage in pavement markings, or some combination of those to ensure one-way traffic flow. Prepare and submit a plan for screening of the existing back of store where those trees have failed to fill in and become much of a screen at all, but especially where the view to the drop-off area is concerned. And number 6, applicant to prepare a plan for screening the existing and any proposed new rooftop HVAC, that plan being subject to staff review and approval, and the applicant to complete the work before use occupancy. So that's a pretty high standard to get that done, and done before use occupancy, so consider that. And then number 7, applicant to prepare a detailed landscaping and screening plan for the green space areas to the northwest and north and southwest of the building and drives, to ensure that the critical locations are properly screened for view.
How far away from the back of the building are is it condos on Quinlan? How far away? Yeah, it's hard to tell.
So the backside is up against the water tower.
It is, that's right.
Okay.
Mary, did I miss trash receptacles and so forth? What is that on this?
They have a dumpster enclosure area in the back of the store right now. It's screened on 3 sides, so the only place you can see it from is the back of the building. It's right here on the site.
Do we know if that size of that dumpster and the amount of trash that the previous, use was, is it gonna change, or?
I will refer.
Actually, they had that as like an extra one for the tenants that were in there. The actual store usage will have a compactor that's used through one of the dock bay doors. So you really wouldn't notice it coming back from the community. I think we did measure out, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 400 feet to the condominiums behind us. And we definitely are in favor of screening that off too, because it helps us. The less complaints, the less that you guys call us, the more I sleep at night. So I'm completely up to whatever staff thinks is adequate, because the cost of the trees that put in there is really not that great compared to, me getting to sleep. That's for sure. And that trash is enclosed, and it's, has
So that dumpster's.
a regular pickup schedule, and we would, if it needed to be more, we would make it done.
So the current dumpster's adequate for you, you think? or-
That first dumpster would be, that's for the tenants in the structure,
Oh, I see.
that rent. We would actually have a compactor, and when that gets full, they come and pick it up.
Got it.
Like,
And the compactor is inside the building?
yeah, so you actually fill it from inside the building, it's kind of like a short trailer, if you will, that's,
Okay.
semi, it's not permanent, but it's there all the time.
Roll back on it?
Yes.
This is the dock area here where they can back a truck in to come for collections. So I assume this is where the compactor.
Correct.
Yeah.
So do I understand the existing overhead doors are white?
They are.
They are white.
They're
I
on-
have
they're
no
on this-
problem with the new door being the way it is. So I think,
It could almost look worse if it wasn't.
yeah,
Right.
so under recommendation number 2, if we can just strike the overhead door additions, then that I agree with it.
I would agree with that.
You okay with the way it was?
Yeah, I am okay with white.
Oh, it matches all the other ones.
Yeah.
As far as the HVAC on the rooftop, I would say, my opinion is if they propose new HVA rooftop, that should conform to our screening. Existing things, if they could just, paint it to make it look nicer, I'd be fine with that. That's just my.
I mean, I'm gonna go, and I know it is a cost in there, but this, as Mary said, when you're kind of starting new, you're kind of susceptible to it. I'm in the camp of bringing it up to current standards, because if a rooftop goes down, they can get it switched out without having to, well, maybe not having to get a crane there, but without anyone from the village knowing.
It has to go through, they have to get a permit.
They have to get a permit, but is the city building inspector gonna know to come here to say, hey, you guys said the old one was fine, new one needs screening? Or is it just gonna go in, and now it's gonna be a new one without screening? So, I'm in the camp of bringing it all up to the same as everyone else, the standards that everyone else is held to. But that's my opinion.
And is that physical screening, or is that painting it out to color match the building? Those options both exist in code.
They both exist?
Yeah.
Then they have their choice of it, but as long as it brings it up to, they have to do something to at least bring it up to current code.
The units, that unit is 33 years old. It will be replaced fairly soon. We were really not wanting to, the amount that it would take to secure that into the building, the size of that would be a big expense that we're probably going to, within the next 3 to 4 years, be replacing that and pulling it off the roof anyway. We're not opposed to trying to paint it in the short term, and then any additional units, of course, with your normal screening will be fine.
Painting conforms with our code, and that I'm fine with this supporting.
I would like to see the landscaping and screening to be pretty dense. You could potentially have a lot of people driving around the back, and to shield the condos from especially that residential area.
Are you fine with the staff reviewing it though, or do you want
Yes,
the
yes.
landscape to come back to us?
Yes, I would be fine with staff, but I'd like it more dense to potentially pretty well screen instead of just a tree.
It sounds like they were,
25 feet another tree, I'd like more arborvitae or some type of screening.
and maybe that's, yeah, I'm looking at it, my feedback is I appreciate, you know, the presentation you gave. I think it's a very, you know, good thing to be in this community. It sounds like a new HVAC unit is probably gonna be pretty expensive, it might be replaced down the road soon enough, so maybe the compromise is, you know, we can never have enough trees and bushes, you know, you put some more money into the screening, especially in the back with the residential there, and then, you know, looking at probably painting realistically to cover it up, and then looking at 3 to 5 years, probably make it a whole unit anyway.
In Pewaukee, we had neighbors way closer than that. We screened it off with pine trees and, there's a lot of traffic there. And I was making light of it, but I was pretty serious. Whatever is asked of me, I may even ask for more. Just because, we want to be a positive thing in the community, and have someone who's unhappy behind us, it is not gonna help us. They may not want to come to us if they're in need, you know, so we really do want the screening, whatever staff decides, you know.
It sounds like you had, I mean, you said that you wanted to feel like they're shopping at Kohl's, I think that's a pretty cool, you know, it's a great.
Mary, one thing that I would like to see done is on the northern part of the wall, that's the longer piece. I know there's a sign gonna go there, but I'd like to see maybe just some arborvitae's, just kind of, it doesn't have to be close, you know, separate them, so it looks like there's some separation in the building, just so you break up that one long wall. And they don't have to be real tall, because I don't wanna get into the,
There's 2 trees there now.
I don't wanna take those out.
They don't need approval to take those out. When trees kind of overgrow their
Mhm.
purpose, we do allow them to take them down and start over with some replacement trees.
Right.
Subject to staff approval. So that's what they intend to do with those 2 pines, because they do block the sign, the freestanding sign. But I did talk to Rod about, landscaping that green space on the north side of the building as well. Not just necessarily with those 2 trees, but to bring the entire, like I said, the 1 per 1,000 square feet and 2 shrubs, using that number to fill.
I don't wanna get into the next part of this, so I'll go further on that, but how's everybody as far as everything here now?
Well, question for the commission is typically when there's gonna be any kind of new facade or whatever, new materials, then we see samples of it. And we don't have that, we don't even have a color rendering or anything like that, so are we comfortable leaving it up to the staff, or do we need to see that?
They're gonna
I
screen them
think
up.
they have them with
No, I'm
them.
talking about
I think you
the
were
building.
gonna bring samples and colors.
What is that?
You were gonna bring material samples and colors.
For the dark bronze, that has a special order, and I'll give it to staff whenever it arrives, that, for that overhang, it doesn't, I don't have it yet, because you and I talked a few days ago, and I had a special order, that part, I do have the colors, and also the colors match the building.
I would just like to say to the commission that if we leave it up to the staff to do that, I know for a fact, and they've done it before, where if they're not comfortable with what they're gonna approve, they bring it back. So I think I am more than
I'm
confident.
okay, I'm just bringing it up because it's outside of our norm.
Yeah,
And I appreciate your thoughtfulness of having the hours posted and no drop-offs, and, you know, we don't wanna see anything
Yeah.
standing outside in the back at all.
and the security cameras.
And the security
The
cameras, right?
the corridor is in desperate need of traffic. I mean, McDonald's renovating was surprising with how little is going into there, so, for anything that's gonna drive, I mean, heck, Subway closed up and they're everywhere. You know, so, for whatever's gonna bring people into that corridor, it makes the other adjacent vacant properties that we have there more attractive, and the more cars, the the more we have a chance for future development.
Did you say you had a couple samples of color?
Yeah, well, I just have a picture of this building right now. I'll give you, here's more of my door choices, that's why I chose white, you know, but that's just all the door choices we want. The color of the building, we matched as close as we can. My wife will love me in this one, it's baked sienna. It's not a color I would be. Baked sienna, yeah, my wife will be incredibly happy that
This is gonna be like the, what is
Oh, no, that's to match the building, the lower part of the block.
Oh, okay.
The lower part of the block will match that. This color to match this, because I didn't have time, it's a special order to get that. And, I'll leave it up to staff. And we want an exact match.
Walk it around.
Sure.
Show it.
What is it?
Yeah, that's what.
Doesn't
see the lighter.
orange. I think Santa's orange.
Orange,
Yeah, I go for
It's a bird.
So it'll just, it'll match. That kind of, it looks black in there, but it's actually brown.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Do I, does
Okay,
anybody?
thank you, my garage.
Oh, yeah.
Garage door, right there.
Make a motion to approve, with, planner's recommendation, striking the door color of number 2, and then allowing landscaping and color rendering to be, okay, and, never mind, I'll
No,
pause.
continue,
Oh.
and I'll jump in after you.
Okay, landscaping and colors and everything else be handled on staff level.
And painting of
They, also reviewed by staff.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, is there further discussion?
Yeah, Mark raised the question about whether the lighting on the site is sufficient now that we're gonna have, personal vehicle traffic moving around the building in its north and northwest side. And I think that is, I can see that the site is lighted, but whether that's adequate in all areas for the full circuit, should probably be evaluated. So if we attach an additional condition that they evaluate the site for suitability of lighting for safe traffic all the way around, subject to staff review and approval of any plans that need to be modified, additions that need to be made with respect to lighting.
And I will add that.
Just add that.
I will add that, as part of our planner recommendations.
I will second that add.
Okay, any further comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we go to the next one, is item 6D. Review and discussion and possible action on the request for sign code waiver to install a 150 square foot wall sign on the northeast building, tenant space elevation facing Highway 16, and to place a 39 square foot wall sign on the southeast building elevation